Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Let's Design the Planet Coaster. We are back at our park of Altus Paradise, and I was just replying some of the comments from the previous episode. I want to thank you all for the support. I want to say this before anything else. In my mind, I feel like sometimes that I'm not making enough progress for you to be entertained. So unfortunately, sometimes I try to rush things. But I'm still going to try to, give you a good progress so we can keep advancing the development of this park. And in this episode, I just decided to show you the nighttime before. I'm going to pause the game because we're close to dawn over here. And I really want to show you some work that I've been doing off camera. I've been putting lights and adding details everywhere. So this is the final terminal for our coastal building. Let me show you the Hats Fantastic that we have down here. It's actually turned out really good. It's actually pretty simple. Nothing too fancy. We have the store over here. We have this spotlight that it's casting the light from half of this thing upwards. So you can actually see it over here coming out. But if you come in close, or at least from the side, you'll see that it's really nothing too crazy. We have two lamps on each side, some detail artwork over here, and that's pretty much it. I wish there was a smaller Hats Fantastic sign, or like a wooden one. There is one for the Cosmic Cow and the Burger Chief, but there isn't one for the Hats Fantastic, so that's unfortunate. This is actually the smallest one, and obviously it doesn't fit over there. However, I really like how this turned out. In fact, I even put a hidden spotlight in between the rocks pointing at the sign, so that turned out really good. Over here, I'm going to try to move as fast as I can. There we go. So we have the toilets with some hidden lights in the bushes. So such a happy mascot over here. I love the laugh of this guy. And right over here, we have the queue, which is all lit up with these lanterns, and together with the vines on top, it's just gorgeous. I love it. I think it turned out amazingly well, and also I added a few props over on each side of this queue, which, by the way, I'm going to show it to you in daytime in just a second. I wanted to first give you a quick tour of how everything looks at night, because it's almost like completely different atmosphere. Over here by the exit path of the coaster, I put down some tiki torches as well as this fountain. And I also try to lit up and add some accent lighting on this build. I'm not 100% sure I love how these two lamps look side by side. Especially this one that I cannot delete unless I delete all the vines, because the hitbox for the vines is way too big. I'll explain to you later. It's kind of annoying, the fact that I'm like here clicking on this thing and instead it's trying to click on the scaevola, whatever the vine is. It's frustrating. But overall it's looking good. This area is still pretty dark. I think we can do a better job at lighting this place up a bit. Now, if we go over to the maze, I did replace all of the lights from the maze and put down these lanterns on the floor, and it creates a bit of a mysterious situation, if you will, which I think looks quite all right. I'm really happy with the ambience of this part. Even here on these towers, I added some of those lanterns, which in this case I do like how they turned out. I think that's a bit more detail to the situation. Now over here we used to have a complete dark path going into this bathroom, so I put some lights and now it's all lit up. Same thing over here on the restaurant. I pretty much like fit this lantern's like kind of like stuck in this fake tables that we have. I'm not 100% sure I like this design, but I don't absolutely hate it. So I'm gonna keep it for now. See how I feel for the rest of this episode at least, or the next one. You can let me know in the comments what do you think about those, if we should remove them and try something else, because it was definitely pretty dark in here. So I tried to put some lights and like spice up things. Over here, I think I can't remember if these lanterns were in the previous episode or no, but well, here they are. And I also tried to put down some of these lamps, the more modern lamps, on several areas of our path. So I was trying to lit up the whole park, but I didn't have enough time to do so. So One big thing that I did indeed do in the previous episode was fixing all these lanterns because they were all sideways. After Alpha 2 was updated, for some reason some of these props were like completely like 90 degrees rotated, which didn't make any sense. But so I manually went in and fixed it. I don't know if we still... Oh yeah, we have a few over here that still need to be fixed. Look at how they look. It's insane. But yeah, all these used to be, upwards, and now I need to go manually and change them one by one. But it's not too big of a deal. Can tackle that later. Now, Burger Skull over here. Ton of comments about Burger Skull. Most of them good, so I'm gonna keep it. Now, one recurring comment about this is the fact that the eyes are not lit up. So I think there's a good opportunity to do so. Let me grab this fire large thing. Let me show it to you how it looks. There we go. Let's turn this off. And what we're gonna do is, by the way, I learned this new trick. It's a shortcut. If you press X while selecting any piece, you get the 3-axis gizmo. But if you press again, you get the rotation tool, which is actually kind of handy. Not for this particular thing, I'll say, but for rotating other elements, I highly, highly recommend you give it a shot. So I think that looks okay. Let's take a look. Okay, so that is plopped. And now if I move this one over here. Oh, this is starting to look good. Just want to make sure that the eyes are kind of aligned. Let's take a look. Oh my God, this is so epic. This is like way over the top. And it's totally roasting the burger at the top. It just came full circle, just like that. Yeah, we're totally keeping this. This is amazing. Now, when it comes to the coaster, I did a little bit of a... I'm sure you can guess by now from the thumbnail of this video. But let me switch into daytime and show you something that is part of the roller coaster now. I think you're going to find it quite interesting. Wasn't that an epic explosion? Let me actually show you in detail how this whole thing works. I just started playing, goofing around, and it came out. You just saw it over there. The one thing that bugs me is that you can't really synchronize the path of the roller coaster together with the explosion, so it kind of explodes random. And I just managed to get that recording because sometimes it doesn't sync properly, but when I hit record, it just synced immediately, which was amazing. So that way I didn't have to re-record it over and over again. But basically, all this is, and it's also kind of an abandoned structure. I put some of these wooden pillars. The one that's a 4-pillar structure. And also put down some of these docks over here, kind of creating what would be, the entrance to a mine shaft or something like that. Put down the British flags because why not, right? There we go. And this things on the side are really they're nothing more than, if I go to scenery, go to props, is this piece of the shipwreck, which basically I sunken it down and it looks like pretty much like the entrance of a mine. So it will be interesting to do some terraforming in here and use those as a building material for the walls. I don't know, just food for thought. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that in this episode, but it definitely looks good. I love this exploding barrels too. It's just so much smoke and stuff going on in here. It's pretty amazing. Now, let me just show you the main building of the coaster, because at night you couldn't really see much of anything. I did extend the vines throughout the building. In fact, they're kind of covering it all around. And, man, it's looking good. It's kind of jungly, but I really, really like how it turned out. If we go over in this corner, we have all these... I don't remember the name of these are. The seaweeds. Yeah, kind of like hanging. So the roller coaster kind of... goes through this little hole with the seaweeds, and it just it makes it all look super nice. Now, from the outside, it's a pretty simple build. Nothing, it's not like overloaded with details. Not because I don't like it, but because I honestly didn't have a whole lot of time. When you look at builds like the ones Silvarret does or Flux do, man, those are like, I feel like if I start doing something like that, it will literally take 5 episodes just to do one building. But to me, I like more of the nature feel of things, so I kind of went for that, and it's somewhat easier to deal with. Not that I'm lazy or anything, but I really want to make some progress. And like I said at the beginning of the episode, that's kind of a big thing for me. In any case, down here, I didn't add a whole lot of detail. I added some of these wooden structures just so that it's not 100% bland. I will come back to this and add a few things, but for the time being, I'm going to keep it kind of plain as it is. Zooming out. One thing I also did was, well, first of all, I erase some of these trees, so now the pillars, the supports for the coaster, actually go to the ground, which didn't happen before. And I noticed some comments about that. So, and then another thing that I did was smoothen out the path of the coaster, the track, because it was kind of like it had some jaggedy turns. So I made that all look good. And holy crap, the fire on this thing, this is amazing. This is really, really amazing. I love how this turned out. In any case, it's time to start doing some buildings. We're actually going to be working on this corner of the map if I don't change my mind as I start the time-lapse, because that might very well happen. At this point, I don't know, but I guess you'll see in just a moment. So let's cue up the music and start this time-lapse. So the motive or the motif for this building is related to the aqueduct that we worked on the previous, last couple episodes. It was always been a structure that I could never quite. It just felt odd, and one of the reasons is because I think it's kind of out of place compared to all the other buildings that we have in the map. So I decided to try to integrate them, both the towers and the aqueduct, with a bigger building, a bigger in terms of footprint, that would sort of follow the same aesthetic. So in this case, I'm building a castle that's mostly going to be brick and it's going to have some sandstone. Over here, by the way, one of the things that I wanted to do is create a bit of a, have the building kind of come and meet this fake river that we have. And one of the things I did was extended that path with a, kind of like a custom-made bridge. And I'm using this metal structures, this black metal structures that I thought they look quite nice. I got the idea from Silvarret's latest video. He's doing a steampunk theme park. There we go. Which I highly encourage for you to go check it out. I'm gonna include the link in the description of this video so you can see it. And he started using some of those, and I loved how they looked. So I decided to give it a shot and try to integrate it with this design. And you'll see me do some other black metal structures later on. But for the time being, what I'm doing is try to create a massive tower that kind of houses this path, and eventually is going to integrate a little bit with the queue for the what's this ride called? I think it's the magic carpet, the magic whirl, something like that. Can't really remember, but I was trying to have a building so big that would kind of overlap part of the ride as well as this empty corner. You cannot see it now, but basically this little corner where the rocks are, that's where this massive construction will, the space that it will occupy. And in this case, I was kind of covering this corridor and creating different pillars and started putting some of these wooden beams. But since I couldn't get them aligned perfectly, symmetrically, you'll see in a moment that I started offsetting them and try to come up with a design that looked, here you go, this is what I'm doing. I'm offsetting them so that it looks like basically like scaffolding, and it's a bit under construction. I know that I kind of went for that feeling, for that feeling? what did I just say? For that theme on the building at the very entrance of the map on episode 1 and 2, if I remember correctly, where we had the ceiling that was all like full of holes. That way you can see kind of underneath or inside of the buildings, the queues, and all the details inside. And over here, as you can see, I'm extending this archways over to the queue around basically the path leading into this ride. However, I later on. Basically, this is all part of one building. I'm editing, I think, building 30 something. I can't really see because the preview that I'm looking at as I record this, the commentary for this video is kind of small. But I had trouble matching the aqueduct because I got rid of some of these pieces in order to try to integrate everything together. So I ended up splitting them into 2 buildings, and then I think I brought them back together into one big building. I know, it's kind of a mess, but I hope that makes sense. Sometimes it's just easier to have the elements separated. But my main issue every time I start building things like this is that I get carried away, and by the time I'm like, oh, this is looking good. Oh, crap, I should have split this into different buildings, and that way I can just manipulate things a little bit better. But it seems like it's always too late, so I end up keeping everything under one building. And that's another thing that really bugs me about myself as a builder in this particular game. It's the fact that I kind of get carried away sometimes by being constrained by the grid. So you'll see by the end of this time lapse that I started creating different buildings that would allow me to do more organic shapes instead of being all forged on the same grid for the one building. So I'm actually like forcing myself to break the grid a little bit, if that makes any sense. And let's see, what am I doing over here? Well, basically I'm trying different wall combinations so that everything kind of fits together and it covers this entryway into the ride a little bit better. And of course, I'm using the same pattern where I have this archways that have this little rock. I don't know what the name is, but basically it's just like a stone beam of sorts, together with the wooden beams kind of going across and in random directions, hopefully giving that under construction style. Even though in a moment you'll see me basically start covering some of that with the actual, big part of the building. But and over here, this is actually really interesting. I wanted things to like sort of like, like have not like a building aspire, but like have like a tall tower that was taller than anything else, and then have like a gap, and then another tall structure. Usually castles kind of look like that. They have like this thing sticking out, and then it goes back to some level, and then some other tall thing sticks out. But you'll see at the end of by the end of the video how that turned out. I'm actually really happy with the results so far. And I mean, even though it's not finished, you'll see it looks really, really promising. It really, really does. I know that I'm getting ahead of myself. I want this time lapse to end so to show you the final result. But I know you also enjoy watching, little by little, the creation of this. Now, this part right here, the part that I'm working on right now, it's still something that I need to come back later in the next episode. You'll see later on again how that will be finished. But terraforming is, even though it's like really, really flexible, it wasn't, I was having some issues trying to get it right, because it kind of goes inside of the building. And if you look at this construction from the front, like looking from the river going in, you can actually see the grass inside of the building, which it's really hard to get like a sharp edge where the dirt kind of like stops and then the wall begins and then you have the little hole. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm gonna remind myself to point that out by the end of the episode again, because there's a good example that I'll show you exactly of what I mean. Maybe I'm not really making that much sense. And over here, I basically corrected the path so that the river was, so that the building was sort of on the river itself. and I think it's looking pretty good. Now here I'm creating the second tallest structure of this building. I'm trying different configurations for the roof, but I decided to take it, kick it up a notch and use a different texture for the roof, or for this part of the roof at least. You'll see in a moment. Basically, I started with the blue texture, but then again, I grabbed a wooden element and rotated it so that it matched the angle of that roof, and used that as a roofing texture. I really wish that I'm sure it will come at some point during the game development, that you could select many objects and copy them and paste them as new buildings or something like that. Because it's I could have really used that tool and during this build. It was sometimes it's just easier the way the building, the way you build things in this game right now. Sometimes it's just easier to delete them and start over. But if you had cut, copy, and paste, man, that would have saved me so much time. It's ridiculous. All right, so over here, this main part of this stall structure, I wanted to have some sort of balcony sort of sticking out. So I realized that the brick texture that I had was way too close to that, and it wouldn't look great. So I decided to get rid of it temporarily, and I used this cabana as the balcony. And at first I thought it was a bit too informal, but I like it. So I only did one. I only did apply one of these as balconies, but I think I'm gonna do at least two more, or at least one more, and maybe two on the different sides of these construction. Because I think, they do add some detail, and the design kind of, even though it's like really like informal, somehow it fits with the theme. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's maybe the shades of the colors or something like that, but it really, really works for me, and I think I'm gonna give it another shot as to create another kind of structure sticking out. Now here I'm clearing the land to put down another flat ride. I think I ended up, let's see, I think I ended up putting this one. Yeah, I can't remember the name. Oh yeah, this one is the magic twirl. So that the magic carpet one on the other corner is definitely not. And what I wanted to do over here is kind of have an elevated path that kind of potentially goes over the exit path. You'll see in a minute. Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. And also to like break the grid a little bit, I tried to like curve it up and try to create a bit more of an interesting shape. Now over here, I'm kind of like finishing this. I'm trying to finish this holes that I have in between. And if I'm not mistaken, oh yeah, also try give it an attempt to do a bit of a cool entrance that I don't know, like imagine there will be a door in between those archways that will lead into this castle thing. And here you can see me add this black metal structures that I really think add a ton of contrast and detail. And this is as far as I go with detail, by the way. I'm not actually, honestly, I can't remember. I think I may have done a little bit more detail work than this, but I'm not. I can't remember. But I think I left it at that. Now over here, this is what I was saying at the beginning of this time lapse. I started creating different buildings and rotate them individually so that I could create a more organic shape. And in this case, I wanted to fill this with vines and trees and grass, so that we would have a semi-elevated garden that goes, it's a level above the path, the queue path into this ride. Sorry about that. I think it actually at the end turned out amazingly well. So I'm trying to use, the curve from the exit path as a reference and contour this wall around. I then realized that the staircase going up was a little bit too spread out, so I decided to bring it back a bit. And obviously here I'm trying to like get this wall to to meet back with the main building in a more graceful way. This is the part that I was telling you about that I was struggling with the terraforming. It's hard. I'm honestly not sure how I'm going to do the interior of that building that is just by the water. But as you can see here, this is the final result, at least for this episode. It's looking really good. I'm really happy. I think there's a ton of potential here, and imagine all the detail that we're going to add to this. That first building that's right on the water is really under construction. So there's still a lot of progress that needs to be done there. But as you can see, I'm running out of time as I show you the different angles for this building and how the rest of the park looks at daytime. But if you enjoyed this episode, I highly encourage you to click the like button. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. There's also a link in this description of this video to the full playlist in case you missed an episode. But that's all I have to say for now. I want to thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next one.